I'm still looking for that itch as a player. You know, I kind of live vicariously through the guys, but I try to be a steady beacon of calmness for those guys. And don't get me wrong, I get fired up when they make a big play or a bad play. It's high energy, but I try to be consistent for those guys and just always tell the guys to be the calm in the storm. And if I'm rocking the boat, I feel like that might ooze onto them. So I try to stay calm, cool, and collected for the most part. But I'll get fired up for them and chest bump them if they're doing something great, or give them a slap on the back of the head if they don't do something right either. So.
You talked on being under Coach Hyde. Is there like a certain mentor or like philosophy that you've grown in your own coaching style?
I would say Coach Frost and Coach Hype have been the two most impactful guys for me, and I'm just grateful I've gotten the opportunity to work for both of them now. I would say in today's day and age, one thing I say is focus on your relationships being transformational, not transactional in this NIL world. And it's a challenging thing. There's an old saying, Coach Hype says, you get what you recruit. So just being very conscious of the guys we bring into this building, especially in our position, is something that we're all approaching the right way, I think. And I think we brought in the right guys this time, and we look to keep doing that.
You were obviously a player when Coach Frost took over the first time here. How confident are you that he can instill that culture and turn things around quickly again?
If there's anybody to do it, it's him. I feel like at this place, speaking from the first time, I don't think it was necessarily a talent issue. I think it's more of a culture issue, and I think we've kind of seen the same things when we first got here, for whatever reason that might have been. And one thing I do see is, these guys are attacking. Guys have transformed their bodies in the off season. I think there's a hunger for these guys. I think they want to be good. But having said that, we haven't had any success yet because we haven't played any games, and we haven't had any adversity yet because we haven't played any games. So that's the real challenge, to see how our team responds when we either have success or adversity, whether we do this or do that. And the former, first year we had some ups and downs. Second year we came together, and it was a beautiful thing. So we aim to do that. I think we'll go undefeated in 2 seasons. TBD. We got a lot of things to hone in on, and that's starting today, but really practice one tomorrow. It's a mountain we're trying to climb here.
McKenzie, how much do you think is on you? How much will you put on yourself to get these 3 guys ready in the most pivotal position on a team?
Yeah, there's always saying pressure is what you feel when you don't know what you're doing. But I don't feel pressure because I know what I'm doing. Now, having said that, our guys have put in a lot of work, and I do feel like they're prepared to go earn a job. I don't know who it's going to be, but I wouldn't feel confident in one of these guys to go help us win if we haven't put in a lot of work in this offseason. But these guys, they busted their butts in the weight room, in the film room, and I feel like whoever ends up winning the job is going to give us a chance to go have success.
You know how important it is to get first-team reps. How quick do you want to know this?
Obviously, we'd like to know by game 1 who our starter is going to be, but it's hard to say unless we put these guys in a live situation what it's going to be. Everyone has a different skill set, and I feel like you really don't know what you got until the lights are really on. So we're going to do our best to simulate those situations in practice, but we'll see when that timeline happens. But obviously, sooner and later would be the goal.
Because how do you feel that these 3 guys are different, and then are they similar in some ways too when you're evaluating them?
I would say similarities. They can all ad-lib, they can all run. They're all very cerebral. And then differences, Cam's obviously played the most ball. The other 3 guys on scholarship in the room really haven't played much at all. But they can all throw it, they can all run. I that's the kind of guys we try to recruit here. So we'll see how it all plays out, but they all have the ability to do what we want from an offensive standpoint.
Now, what's it like for you being a coach now? Because right now, we go back a couple of years ago, you would be preparing for camp as a player, but preparing for it as a coach, how's that a little bit different?
Obviously you got to make your cut-ups and, make sure that meetings are squared away instead of just showing up to meetings, right? But other than that, you just approach it to be your best, and that's what it was as a player, and that's what it is as a coach.
Coach Ross mentioned that a lot of the sayings that he used from his first time as coach here were still kind of up in the weight room, up in the practice facility. What does that say about the kind of legacy that by extension you and him left on this program, and how, knowing that that's still part of this program and this team, how does that kind of help establish what you guys will accomplish in this time around?
Yeah, I think it's important to not forget the guys that have gotten us to this point to be in the Big 12, right? From Coach Beck to Dante Culpepper, Blake Bortles, Shaquem Griffin, everybody that's helped pave the way for where this university's at. And who better to bring back to get that culture back to what it should be than Coach Frost. It means a lot, but it only means a lot if the guys buy into it. And so far, I believe they have. But like I said, we got to see what we're about when adversity and success come our way.
It's obviously maybe a little different working with him as a coach as opposed to being this quarterback. But how has Coach Frost changed since the last time you were working with him?
I think more than anything, he's just grown. I think that's what you can either do with experiences in life. You can either grow from them or regress from them. And I think he's grown as a man and as a coach, just from his time at Nebraska and his time at the Rams this last year. And I'm excited to see what this 2025 season has in store for all of us.
What did you learn at Tennessee that you brought here with you?
I would say from Coach Hype, the one thing he told me when I got into the job, he said he didn't always see it this way, but coaching is a form of ministry, and pouring back into these kids for me is what it's all about, and serving God in that process. And then too, just being consistent, staying true to the process. Coach Hype is, one of the most consistent guys I've ever been around, and obviously he's always had successful quarterbacks. So just taking those things that I've learned from him, from preparation, QB fundamentals, and kind of making them my own is what I'd take from up there.
The game day butterflies, are they different as a coach than they used to be as a player?
Yeah, I feel like as a coach, a lot of times the hay's in the barn. As a player, you got to go execute. So, and there's still those butterflies as a coach, but at the end of the day, my job is to get those guys prepared as possible to go into a Saturday feeling like they're the best player on the field. And when that time hits, it's time to just go play. It's fun in the huddle and running plays.
Coach Cooper talked about how all three of the quarterbacks kind of really in the race for starter right now have been showing different leadership qualities throughout the whole team. What is your view been seeing on that? What has really stood out to you from the three of them in terms of leadership standpoint?
Yeah, I'll start with the oldest, Cam, just being a professional, coming to work every day, and then JB, he's always got a look in his eye like he wants to be great, and then Taven, asking smart questions, speaking up when he feels conviction on a play to get guys right, and I would even say Davi, just the way he's attacked the summer grind and getting here in June and picking up the playbook like that. All these guys, they got different personalities, but I think they all have what it takes to be a dude.
Coach Frost told us back at Big 12 Media Days about how when he really met Coach Milton for the first time at the U.S. Army Bowl back then. I wanted to get your opinion on that. Was that like the first time you were truly coaching with him, and what was it like to kind of be in that new relationship with him at the time?
Yeah, it was fun. I was a little nervous just because that's my first time on that side of it with Coach. I would say I was more nervous then than I am now. But it was fun. It was really just fun to see him again because it had been so long. And, was great to really get an intro into kind of what he'd be like as a coach to work with. In that small, I think it was like 3 or 4 days, but it was a blessing. And who would have known God would have brought us here a couple years later.
Do you find yourself with any traits that he did as a coach that you can now start doing that you're like, oh man, I got that from Frost?
Man, there's so much things that I've adopted from Coach, and I think the number one thing from him is fierce competitiveness, but also like calm, cool, and collective. And I think when you have a healthy balance of that, you're able to call plays at a way that he's able to and been able to in his career, but you're also able to get guys to play at a level of intensity that they may not be able to. I see it as like controlled chaos in the sense of executing at a high clip, but also playing with your hair on fire. And that's what he was able to instill in us here at UCF in the past. And that's the goal, to get it back to that. But I would say as a coach, that's probably the main things I took from him.
McKenzie, you've talked to Scott a little bit about this, about building team chemistry.
They have your best interests at heart. So that's something I try to emphasize to the guys. Like, you can't come at a guy sideways if you never talked to him before. Now, you can come at a guy if you know where he's from, you know his family background, you know who he is, because each guy is going to take something a little different, So super important playing this position to know, how each guy ticks on the team and how they're going to respond to certain things. And it takes time, but these guys have put in the work to be able to do that.
Do you think Scott has anything to prove?
I think that's a question for Scott.
We asked him, but I was just curious, because having known him and having lived that if you felt like...
I know something about him. He's competitive as anybody I've ever been around, and we're hungry to just go be our best. But I think you got to ask him that one.
Allow me to go off script for a second. I understand you have a pretty close relationship with Jan and Britt. I'm doing a fan feature on them, so just like when did that start? And, what kind of contact do you still have with them? Because it seems like she still considers you her brother.
Yeah. So Jan and Britt, we actually met. I forget which game it was. It was just after a game. I saw them, and I had a hat on, and I just gave Britt my hat, and that's just kind of how our relationship kind of started, and she's been around the team ever since, and she is my brother. I owe her a birthday lunch at Burger U for her birthday was the other week, but she's so special, just so full of love, and puts in perspective that this game isn't everything. You have people that love and care about you outside of the sport, and they're a beacon of what UCF football and what UCF family is about.
I guess you gave her your graduation lei as well.
Oh yeah,
right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's been a lot of gifts given back and forth over the years, and those two women are just incredible people.
I have a strange question for you. I don't know if you want to answer it. When you were your final game, when UCF was in Tampa to play USF, there was speculation you might step on the field that game. I'm just curious, and you don't know. Did you want to be on the field? Did you want to have that moment to close out your career in UCF?
I always wanted to.
Or could you
play? I could have. I was running scout team the whole year, but I didn't want a charity snap. If I was going to play for UCF again, I wanted to go compete for the job and do that. That really wasn't a reality, so I just had to do somewhere else. But I didn't want to go out there to just hand off a ball, throw a pass, and let Dylan go run back out there. That's not the competitor I am or was.
I'm just curious.
No, it's a good question.
We were talking about that game, and then someone had mentioned to me, like, there's a lot of speculation you were going to possibly be in that game. So.
No, I remember Dylan hinted in a interview.
Yes, he made some comment during that week that you were possibly going to be out there. That got everyone's all.
Yeah, no, I remember.
McKenzie, I don't know if this is an obvious answer, but just looking back on your career here at UCF, what's your favorite moment? What stands out now that you've had a few years away? Now you're back. When you're walking in this locker room, when you're walking back on that field, what comes back to mind? Whether it was here, bowl game, whatever. What stands out for you?
My favorite moment for me had to been after the 2018 Memphis game. on the road there. Just week prior had a grade 4 AC sprain on my left shoulder. Didn't practice the whole week, and what it took to win that game is just. I remember sitting in the locker room, just like, man, like that was one that we earned, and. I remember Coach Hype came up to me and looked me in the eyes and just said thank you, and that was a cool moment that I'll never forget.
There's a couple like the Let's Go Bone. That was that game, right, with Taj?
There's a lot of moments that I don't have a lot of vivid memories from games, but that game I do.
And one of those games, you said you had the shoulder.
That was.
And you were flipping over.
Yeah, you did like
to get into the. You were putting your body on the line to score. Like that was. Because that's where Coach Hype was coming from when he said thank you. You were putting it all on the line to keep that win streak going.
Have you kind of related it to the guys that are competing the job, the physical, mental, emotional sacrifices that come along with the responsibility?
100%. I don't expect every guy to be able to go play through some of the things that I played through. Just because I think every person has a different pain threshold of what they're able to go through. But if it's not always about you, if it's about the guys to your left and to your right, and you're willing to push yourself to limits, if that's what you want to go win. And also, if I do win the job, especially with the room we have where there's not that, it's pretty close, I'd be wary of letting someone else go get on the field, if I'm got a little sprained pinky or something, so it's a grind going through a season, and at the end of the day you got to be a dog. And I think my freshman year I had a left tackle in Aaron Evans who played with 3 herniated discs in his back, and just seeing him play through that where his leg is numb the whole season and just being a straight dog, man, this dude's laying it on the line just to protect skinny little McKenzie. I got to do something for these guys too. So when you see guys fighting through things, it makes it a whole lot easier.
I know a lot of attention's been on the 3 QBs, but you added another one the offseason, Davi. So what stands out about him? He's a young guy, he's still got his career in front of him. What do you like about Davi? What does he bring to the ring?
Davi is he's a dynamic athlete, playmaking ability, but more than anything, just attitude, effort, picking up the playbook in 2 months at a clip that has really impressed me, and just the want to be great. I see that in him. I'm really glad we got him 2 months ago. I really am, and he's got a really bright future.
I asked Scott this a couple minutes ago. How does the evaluation process change from spring to fall to inevitably get to that decision? He said everybody's coming with a clean slate based on from what happened a couple months ago doesn't necessarily matter as to what's going to happen here over the next month.
Yeah, I think like you said, the presuppositions that we have in these guys out the window. It starts tomorrow. Just with best guy go win the job, go take the job. And for us, we're just looking for guys to make winning plays because that's what football is about: productive plays, taking care of the football, and that's really what's going to decide this thing.
Coach Frost mentioned these guys stepping up and taking this winning position, not anointing anybody. What does that process look like for you guys? When do you feel like the guys are ready to step in?
Say that again.
How do you feel the guys are going to be ready to step in? When are you going to see that level that he's ready to take?
I think it's going to be hard to put a timeline on it. Obviously, sooner the better. But I think when we know, we'll know who our guy is. And I'm hoping that they'll make it easy on us, but all these guys have put in work, and I think they're going to make it harder on us than we want it to be.
I'll ask you about each of the quarterbacks. What impressed you about Tay Jackson this spring, and what do you want to see him improve on as we head into fall?
I would say Tay's most impressive attribute is probably just the pure arm talent. He can spin the ball. I think for him, what I want to see the most out of him is just a look in his eye that he wants to be great every day, and he's getting better at that. But that's probably the main thing, just attacking every day to go be his best.
Obviously, Jakari's very athletic. There were some concerns about his accuracy. Have you seen him improve on that aspect of it? Continue to develop it?
100%. I think he's gotten leaps and bounds better from the time we got here. And, I think he hit the nail on the head, just consistency with not just himself, but all the other guys as well.
What do you want to see from Jakari as he continues to grow and fall?
What I want to see from Jakari is, like I just said, just consistently being able to operate throw the ball accurately and just make winning plays.
And what about Cam?
Cam's been a pillar of consistency from the time he's gotten here, and what I would like to see from him is just assert himself, be a little more vocal, but from a consistency aspect, all these guys got to just continue to make plays, make winning plays for us to make an objective decision who the guy's going to be.
All right, thanks, everyone. I got to let you go.
Thanks, boys.